Okinawa. Okinawa da 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 da. Oginagi oya. Oginagi da di da di da. Please tell me if I have chocolate in my teeth or in my mouth and stuff.
Hey, what is 32 minus 14?
No, don't embarrass me in front of people. Okay, 15, 16, 17? This is so unfair.
I think it is. What is 100 divided by 30.7?
100 divided by 30.7. Like 3 point something?
I don't know. Today we're going to talk about mathematics. Mathematics will come into line in Christian mathematics, if that's a thing.
Hey, I did start pre-calculus, but...
Hi, you guys. Hey, welcome to Home Groups. We're glad you guys are making Home Groups a priority. And so we're just back into this series called The One. And we had a good time last week at youth group on Tuesday night and Wednesday night. And we are just really just trying to let you know that we are excited for your future. We're excited for where you are now. We're excited for how God's going to use you in your future. Hopefully, if God wants you married, then you'll be married. And you'll get with that person and you will be married for life. And that will be your one person. And so the reason why we talk about this, just a disclaimer too, nothing we're talking about is about your parents. This has nothing to do with your parents. We're not judging anybody.
No judgment.
We're just honestly talking about you.
Future.
So we love your parents, but we love you more. And we want to make sure that we're setting you up for a great future in a marriage with someone.
Wait,
for
can
life.
Parents watch this video too?
They can.
Oops.
Wednesday night when we got home, I got a text from a parent, and it was pretty funny. As our students were writing this promise of purity, one of our students wrote down that he's been praying for the puberty of his future spouse. So puberty and purity are actually different. But he's cool as he's praying for the puberty of his future spouse. But they're just FYI, they're very different things. So the reason why we're talking about this stuff is because obviously, as we walk through Matthew chapter 19, divorce is a hot topic. And today, divorce is very painful, and we recognize this. Even Sunday night, I was talking to my dad on the phone, and he was walking me through how the divorce when he was like 16 or 17, it still affects him today, and he's 69 years old. Monday, I was meeting with a student. That student talked about this tough time in life that they're in, and as they rewound back, it was just through the divorce of his parents that caused a lot of this pain. And a student on Tuesday night calls me, leaves this long voicemail. He's in Georgia now. And he said, Mark, I need prayer. My parents, I think they're going through a divorce. And so let's just be honest here. Divorce is very painful, and the kids lose. And so we don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about the joy of being in marriage and being with one person for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're going to set up, and that's what we're going to talk about as we walk through Matthew chapter 19. Last week we talked about how Jesus uses sexual immorality. He's using that phrase to kind of explain to the Pharisees and his disciples, just like, okay, why is this the thing that could give reason for, in this context, for someone to be divorced. So just definition of terms, sexual immorality always means any sexual activity outside the union of a man and a woman in marriage. So that could be anything. Purity came up. Purity. This call to purity we see in Romans chapter 12. We are supposed to present our bodies as a living sacrifice. So we don't even own these bodies. If you're a Christ follower, you were bought with a price. And so we keep that in mind, that I am not my own, my wife is not her own, and we use these bodies to hopefully bring glory and to please God. And this is our calling for you too. I'd love to see your generation. We'd love to see our students rise up and realize that this is countercultural thinking, that these bodies are not for us. We can't just do whatever we want with these bodies. We can't just pursue feelings. And God wants to protect us from a lot of horrible things that are out there. And that's why he gives us sometimes these guidelines to look at. It's not just to be like the stingent God, it's to protect us from so many things because he loves us and he loves you so much. All right, let's go see what the Bible has to say about this. So it's in life, we don't just want to base things off of our feelings. It's good to have something grounded. And so the Bible is that something grounded. So we're going to walk into this amazing book called Matthew. And to give you some context, Jesus is talking to these religious cops called Pharisees, and also his disciples are there. And so what I love about this, Jesus is not just a great teacher, not just a great prophet, not just the Son of God. He's not just God. He's the best youth pastor ever. So his youth ministry, these disciples, we think they were really young. So teenagers, we're not sure their age. A lot of them are fishermen. So these guys probably smelled like students on Tadmore on day 3. If you've been there before, like I mean, kids spraying Axe everywhere, spraying
Wait,
everything.
like Tadmore young?
No, smell. I'm talking about the smell.
No, I know, but I'm just thinking.
So even if this could be like Costa Rica, if you've been to Costa Rica with us for high school, this could be like Costa Rica day 4. This could be the smell that these guys had. So imagine Jesus has his youth group around. So he's talking about all this controversial stuff, and all of a sudden his disciples are not quiet anymore. And so now we get to hear what they said in response to Jesus' response.
The disciples said to him, "If this is a situation between a husband and wife, it is better not to marry." So what he said right before that, if anyone divorces his wife except for marital unfaithfulness and marries another woman, commits adultery. So it's like the disciples are saying, if that's the case, Jesus, if there's only one reason that we could get divorced, that's not enough. That's not enough reasons. Like, I need more options here. So if I don't have those options, it's just better maybe not to get married.
Yeah. So these guys are, I mean, they're really like, they're taking notes as Jesus is talking. They're thinking, well, hold on. Maybe I don't want to get into this commitment. This is more serious than we thought it was. And so it's like a light bulb moment for these guys. Back to Christian mathematics. So just to give you kind of a visual for this, a lot of times we think that single people, I know when I was single, back when I was like 20, I used to have like these church ladies like, oh, Mark, here's Jessica, or here's, Aubrey, fill in the blank, like always trying to like, here's this girl, Mark, you're 20, something wrong with you, you're not married yet. I'm like, oh, just relax, it's okay. So single people are not half a person. So 1 does not equal half. But then in Christianity, when you get married, 2 equals 1. It's kind of weird how this whole thing works. But single people, that could be a gift, that could be a calling of God. The Bible has a lot to say about being single too. And so Paul, the Apostle Paul, who wrote most of the New Testament, he has a lot to say about being single, because most scholars think that he was probably single and he did not have a wife. And so what does Paul say as we get to hear from the book of 1 Corinthians? So Paul is writing this to a church that's very perverted. They did not understand purity. They were stuck in sexual immorality. They're confused. So Paul's like, psh, 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 just slapping this church, making sure they get it and they understand God's intentions for them. And so let's see what Paul has to say about being single.
So here's the slapping. Now for the matters you wrote about, it is good for a man not to marry. But since there is so much immorality, each man should have his own wife and each woman her own husband. And then down to verse 7. I wish that all men were as I am, but each man has his own gift from God. One has this gift, another has that. So pretty much Paul is saying, I wish all men were like me and single, because that really is the best. But we all have different gifts. And then I like how in the verses, the number 2. But since there, so he said, it's good for a man not to marry. I'm assuming that's man as in like a human, because it could be a woman too. But since there is so much immorality, so pretty much like, but we can't really trust you to be single. You make so many poor decisions. So if you're going to be sexually active, you need to do it with one woman and one man.
In marriage.
In marriage, yes.
That's perfect. So being single is, you're not half a person. So I have a buddy, Dan, he's my age, so he's kind of an older guy now. He's single. You guys, he can go left if he wants to go left. He can go right. He can travel. He can do missions trips all the time. So there's a benefit for him being single. I know he wants to be married, but I watch even Paul, who's traveling all the time, getting the gospel out to these different places, and I don't think he could have done that if he was married.
Yeah.
So it actually can be a gift to be single. And so if we have a burning desire to be in a relationship, if you're single, I would say you need to stop that burning desire. Your desire should be for one relationship, and that's relationship with God, because you can actually focus on God solely and not have to worry about maintaining a very deep, complex relationship that's inside a marriage. Mm-hmm. Homework assignment.
You thought of it?
All right, here's your homework assignment for next week. So when you come back in your home groups, you need to walk in the door and have an answer prepared. So go talk to one person that you live with, that's a parent, in that parent position. Go talk to them and ask them what it was like when they were not in the position that they're in. So if they're married, ask them what it was like to be single. If you have a single parent, ask them what it was like to be married before and actually in a relationship. So ask them those questions. Hey, what was it like before? And just give us some simple notes from there and bring those notes back. And we'll quiz you guys and see how it went.